Hello students and welcome to Shri Gyanmanjari Vidyapet. I am Axay Sir and I'll be taking the subject of English for Standard 10. Students, whole of the previous year, that is when you were in Standard 9, the way we worked, the way school worked, the way education worked, the way teachers and students and many a times the role of parents also changed, the role of siblings, elder to you changed. Everything happened so fast, but in a very amazing way, we were able to set ourselves without missing much. Instead, we gained a lot from the previous year's experience. We can say that in this present situation that we are facing even now, even after 1 year, lots of things in the world have changed, lots of things in our life has changed, and certainly the most important for students, the way you learn, the methods of learning, everything changed drastically. Nearly complete whole year we studied online, we taught online, you studied online. Both of us faced lots of difficulties, but the moment says that we have come out of the situation in a very grand manner. We have not lost even a single word of our teaching, whether it is me, whether it is you. But instead we have gained a lot. What have we gained? Because of online teaching and learning, nearly 60 to 70% work rested on the students. They had that material with them. Though we were present all the times, the phone lines were open all the times, but still, instead of calling and solving your doubts, you wrestled with the text on your own, try to find out answers. Only where you got stuck and had no idea, you communicated with either ringing up the faculties or sending photographs, snaps of whatever you have written, wherever you have doubts on WhatsApp. So the communication line was open, but still you wrestled on your own, you fought with yourself how to come out of the problem that is facing you, the things that you don't understand, and you try to understand on its own. That is the biggest achievement of the previous year. Now, you have already given the final exams for 9th stand, and now you have proudly entered the Standard 10. We have already spoken about this in the subject of social science, in the lecture of social science. So without again going through it again, we will start with our subject today, the subject of English. The paper pattern, which is the most important for all of the students. Yes, the paper pattern of Standard 9, the blueprint, and Standard 10, as far as English subject is concerned, there is hardly any difference in it. Yes, regarding the paper style, how much textual part will be asked, how many objectives will be asked, in what way the objectives will be asked. Main thing that concerns the students is the writing part, right? So the layout is exactly the same without much difference, right? So we do not have to think so much about the paper pattern, because whole of the year we have been practicing in that manner that we are now well acquainted with the paper style. And recently you have given the tests for Standard 9, the self-assessment test of 80 marks. Yes, so you are well aware of the complete blueprint of the paper style, which is exactly the same for Standard 9 English, for Standard 10 English. So we'll not discuss much about it. Now let us discuss standard 10. Now first thing to discuss is term 1 syllabus. Our school, we divide the complete syllabus into two parts for easier learning. Two parts means term 1 and term 2. Stipulated time is given, fixed timing is given, in which we have to complete the syllabus for term 1. Then the board gives the dates for essay 1, that is summative 1 assessment. Summative assessment number 1, yes, wherein the first term syllabus is usually asked. Then we have the second term, and then again we have summative assessment 2, and then we have the preliminary round which covers the complete syllabus, that is term 1 and term 2, and then we have the board paper, right? So this is the complete scenario of all the year round. What are the activities that are going to go, how you have to plan, program, yes, your studies in such a manner that you complete your term 1 syllabus on time along with the school, and you are well prepared. Of course, we will be having our regular WRTs, we will be having our regular assignments, yes, and when the term is over, we will be having essay 1. When the second term is over, we will be having essay 2, and then we'll start with our PST programs and WST programs, so that you are well prepared for the next year. That is when you will be appearing in the board exams. Maybe it is March 2022, whether it is April 2022, whether it is May 2022, whenever the exams are taken, we will be well prepared, far ahead of the final exams. So nothing to bother about and nothing to take too much attention about. We'll be taking the complete syllabus in a very easy stride, so that there is no overburden, because I singularly have to teach only one subject. Yes, of course, I also take social science, so I'll be dealing with two subjects. But as far as a single individual student is concerned, he has to face number of subjects. So ample amount of time should be given, so that all the subjects, maths, science, social, English, Gujarati, Sanskrit, he gives equal weightage to all the subjects, and he has enough time to pursue all the subjects in time with the ongoing syllabus, part of that ongoing syllabus, and he prepares it very well, right? So that all the subjects run on a parallel line. He is through with all the subjects at the same time, and he is with the teacher with the syllabus, right? So let us discuss a term 1 syllabus. Now, if we broadly take the paper pattern, and if we broadly take the things that we are going to learn in English, that is divided. Now, whole of the paper, it is divided in which way? First thing is the textual part. Yes, where question answers from the text, that is also considered. Objectives from the text, that is also considered, but it's a two-way thing, right? Objectives, they are also found in grammar, because all the objectives, they will be taken from the text. Nothing from outside the text will be asked. So textual part usually deals with the question answers. Yes, now we'll be doing it, right? So the textual part, we are just concerned with the question answers, right? Because at the end of term 1, you will be having 6 chapters of one book, 5 chapters of another book, and some 5-6 poems. So that's quite big a syllabus, and from that you have to narrow down, because you'll be getting questions and only one question per chapter, right? So we have to prepare the chapters in such a way that we are able to answer questions asked from any corner of the chapter. Now, grammar part. Grammar part is distributed in an uneven way. For example, we have fill in the blanks. Then fill in the blanks also has categories. For example, vocabulary, where some difficult words, paragraphs having difficult words are given, and those difficult words will be given in the bracket, and instead of those difficult words we'll be having blanks. You need to put that word at the exact place. Now, if we have gone through the chapter, it's a very easy thing. We already know what is the sequence of the sentence, how is the story progressing, and which words are used. So we are well aware of that. Vocabulary might be 2 marks 1 question, might be 2 marks 2 questions are there, right? So in all we have to complete either 4 blanks or 8 blanks depending. So in that grammar part, vocabulary comes. Then we have fill in the blanks for grammar, which includes the parts of speech, right? Somewhere you have to in the fill in the blanks you have to replace that blank with prepositions, conjunctions, articles, etc., right? So grammar parts. So grammar fill in the blanks can be 2 marks, can be 4 marks. So that means that can be 4 fill in the blanks, that can be 8 fill in the blanks depending. Then we have direct indirect. Yes, 2 marks, 3 marks, maybe 2-3 dialogues are given, or a whole paragraph is given where there are lots of dialogues over there, or perhaps independently 2 dialogues will be given, quite lengthy one, right? So in whichever way, we already have done that in standard 9. We will be revising again, so that those who have missed the essentials, the way how to do the transformation of direct to indirect. Yes, so in that way grammar part also includes direct indirect. Then we have error rectification, which has already been taught in 9th standard. Yes, a revision will be done in 10th standard also, so not to worry. None of the part of the blueprint will be missed. If it has already been done in 9th standard, then also we'll be revising it in 10th standard, so that students, those who have missed, students, those who have forgotten, yes, it will be easier for them. So grammar part includes all that, plus the main thing, that is transformation of sentences. Because of this pandemic situation, we had transformation of sentences in MCQ way. Right now, perhaps next year all of these things will be resolved and the world will be back on its path again. And if that happens, then you will have to do the transformation of sentences yourself. That means a question will be given and you will have to answer it. You won't be having MCQs to choose an option from. So grammar part includes all that. Next concern is the writing part. We know lots of things have been taught in standard 8, 9. We'll be revising that again, plus some new things will be added. Writing part, you have to use your imagination, you have to stick to the format, yes, and give out some exemplary writing. For example, notice writing, diary writing, letter writing, email writing. These 3-4 things we have already done in the previous in the previous standard. Now we will be dealing with 1 or 2 that are missing and writing part. Next is comprehension, poem and prose, both. Now in the previous blueprint, when without this pandemic situation, seen and unseen, both comprehensions were asked, but due to study restrictions and no interaction, actually no physical interaction, that means classroom studies were absent. So this year, previous year, the board had reduced unseen prose and unseen poem. Maybe that will be included in the next, in this year's syllabus, right? So seen and unseen means, if it is seen, that means it will be from the text. A paragraph will be given and you have to answer the questions given below it. Hardly 2 or 3 questions will be there. If it is MCQ, 2 MCQs only will be asked and you have to choose from the option. That is the textual part. Now poems also 2-3 lines, or perhaps if it's the small stanzas from the 11 poems that are given in the textbook, from there it will be asked and you need to answer the 3 questions that are given below it. Unseen poem, a poem from anywhere can be taken and that will be given to you. You have to read that question, understand the you have to read the poem or the stanza given to you, understand it properly, and comprehend. That is the meaning. Comprehend means to understand, right? You have to understand the poem properly, and then you have to attempt the question 2 or 3 given below it. So these are the 4 parts of the blueprint: textual part, grammar part, writing part, and comprehension, consisting of seen and unseen, prose and poems. These are the main parts. Now we come to the text that is going to be taken into consideration, or the syllabus which is given to us for standard 10. Textual part has 2 books. The same thing we had in standard 9. We had Beehive as the main book, and we had Moments as the supplementary reader. Here also in 10 standard we have 2 books. One is First Flight, that is the main book, and second is Footprints Without Feet, that is supplementary reader. Now the beauty about these 2 books is most of the question answers will be asked from the main book, that is First Flight. Poems are given only in First Flight. Supplementary reader has some mixed response. That means question answers, 1 or 2 question answers can be asked from supplementary reader, that is Footprints Without Feet. There are no poems. Grammar part may be asked from Footprints Without Feet, that is supplementary. So supplementary reader has quite a limited part in the blueprint or in the question paper, but still if it has even 1 mark weightage, the complete book has 1 mark weightage, then also we have to prepare the whole of the book, the whole of the syllabus, right? So immaterial whether something is going to be asked from it, we are going to learn the complete book, and we are going to attempt all the question answers, we are going to attempt all the grammar given in it, right? So this is about the books that are included in standard 10 English subject syllabus. Now first term, if you have pen and paper ready, yes, you can note this. Term 1 from First Flight, that is the main book. We will have chapter number 1 to 6. Please note down, First Flight, that is main book. Term 1, we will have chapter number 1 to 6. Poem number 1 to 6, so that it's easy to remember, yes, and we don't have any doubts in it. In Footprints Without Feet, that is the supplementary reader, term 1 will have half of the book. It has 10 chapters. In first term, we will be taking chapter number 1 to 5. Now, it means that rest of whatever is remaining comes in term 2. Yes, chapter number 7 to 11, poem number 7 to 11, and chapter number 6 to 10. That will be in term 2. Now, let us take a look at what the grammar parts of the syllabus include. The blueprint of the question paper includes, first thing we already talked about it, vocabulary. Then we have the grammar, fill in the blanks, where parts of speech is asked, articles, conjunction, all those things, right? Error rectification is there, which we discussed already. Transformation of sentence, one of the main puzzling question for the students. Yes, it's transformation of sentence, though it's quite easy, right? So then also direct, indirect, these are the grammar parts of the blueprint. We have done lots of it, and the things that are remaining will be completing it in this year, plus whatever we have learned last year, we will be revising that. Writing part includes lots of things. We have done many parts of it, some parts are remaining. Letter writing, formal and informal, any of them can be asked, both of them can be asked. Email writing, again formal, informal will be asked. Notice we have already done. Advertisement and poster we have yet to do. Diary we have done. Then we have report writing to do. Essay, we usually write essay, and story writing to be understood and how it is to be faced. So this is the writing part, the complete writing part. It's quite a lot. Letter writing 1, 2, formal, informal. Email writing 3, 4. Formal, informal 5, notice 6, advertisement 7, poster 8, diary 9, report writing 10, essay 11, short story. And all of this, mind you people, all of this put together, that covers section D 10 marks and section E 20 marks. So you can understand the weightage that is given to the writing part. We got to attempt this two section. We got to put our life on it. We have to put all our knowledge into it, whether it is vocabulary, grammar, imagination, beautification, whatever it is, we got to put our life on it. It carries 30 marks weightage in a 80 marks paper. Yes, so it's quite a lot. Yes, 8 fours are 32. If we consider 8 marks as 10% of the paper, then 8 fours are 32, near about 40% weightage we have. Yes, 30 marks is 40% of 80 marks, right? So it's quite a huge weightage, and we really need to concentrate ourselves into making ourselves better and better in the writing part. This year because we have done lots of parts of it, we are going to now focus on quality of your writing this year. And please students, we are going to be very serious about it. Yes, last year we saw lots of improvement, but then we have to do much more. We have to put in much more effort to take maximum marks out of 30. Now, comprehension, we discussed this, textual passage, MCQ and question answers, 2 marks, 2 marks, 4 marks. It can be asked textual poem, MCQ and question answers, 2 marks, 2 marks, 4 marks. It can happen in that way. That means either it is seen, unseen, whatever. Then unseen passage if the board allows this year, unseen poem if the board allows this year, right? So we don't have to worry about it. Something will be given to it, we have to answer from it, then it becomes more easier, because all of us comprehend something, understand something. When we read a passage, automatically we find out the answers, right? So it's quite easy. Only thing needed is how to give the answer. Now we start with our syllabus from today onwards. We'll start with the main book, that is First Flight. In that we start with chapter number 1, that is A Letter to God, written by G.L. Fuentes. This is a very interesting chapter. The very first chapter has the name of God in it, and that is certainly a blessing for us. It is a very, very easy chapter, and we are dealing with a very, very simple man over here, and we are going to learn about it. They say faith can move mountains. If you have faith, you can move mountains, and it is correct. Yes? If we even have one of the films recently where the person's wife died because she was not able to reach the hospital in time, because there was a huge mountain in between and they had to go around the mountain to reach the hospital, and the wife did not have that much time and she died on the way. So the husband decided to make a path through the mountain. He was all alone and people called him mad, because he was unnecessary trying to break the whole mountain, and so, or shape the mountain in a different way so that a path can be created to reach the other side of the mountain, through the mountain, and people considered him mad. Right? He worked for a number of years all alone. There was nobody to help him, but at the end he was awarded. His hard work brought him laurels, and he was given respect by the state government and the central government by the efforts done by him. It is not about the efforts. Yes, he told the government what they should have done instead of a single man working for a number of years, spending his life over there, right? But at the end he created a mountain because he had a faith in him. He was able to do, because just any person looking at a mountain is quite huge compared to the size of human being. Yes, it's a heap of difficulty in front of him, but he was successfully able to do that. So faith can move mountains. But what should we put our faith in? In what we should put our faith? Yes, certainly the answer is God. Yes, we should always keep God in front of us whenever we are doing anything. Troubles will come, hazards will come, mishaps will come, but then if we have faith, that faith keeps on driving us in the correct direction. So what should we have faith in? This is the question this story delicately pauses, puts in front of you, delicately, very smoothly, without much difficulty, with such a lot of tenderness. The story puts before you the question and it gives the answer also. Now we are talking about the main character, that is Lencho. Lencho, he is a farmer. Yes, he is a simpleton. Yes, he is quite a simple person. He is a completely satisfied person. Yes, he has a huge field. Yes, and the field is in the valley, which is near the river, and ample amount of rainfall, good soil, gives him lots of harvest, good harvest, healthy harvest, which he sells in the market, and he survives the complete year with it. He has a family, he has a house, yes, a good wife and children, right? So he is a completely satisfied man, and he has complete faith in God. But troubles start with him, and the troubles test him whether that faith is still there or the faith has loosened, shaken, and the farmer, the simpleton, has lost faith in God. So lots of questions are there in this chapter. Lencho is a farmer who writes a letter to God. Now, can a person write a letter to God? Even you can write a letter, but where are you going to post it? We usually post our letters in the post office, right? Now, does the post office, postman, postmaster, any of the highest authority in the postal department, do they have an address of God? Do we have an address of God? No, we don't. God is said to be omnipresent, omniscience, right? Omnipresent, present wherever. Yes, it is present in living thing, it is present in non-living thing, it is present in air, water, land, atmosphere, even beyond earth, right? He's the creator, so he is present everywhere. Yes, and he is omniscient, right? So in this way, he is writing a letter to God because he is in trouble and he thinks God will answer. That much faith he has in God. Yes, in times of trouble, you must have seen, in times of trouble, your friends, they leave you. The near and dear ones, sometimes they also leave you, right? So, who is the only one that stays with you? It is God. Right, so Lencho is a farmer who writes a letter to God when his crops are ruined. His crops, for a farmer, crop is everything, and that when that crop is ruined, whole of his life is ruined. Yes, he can't see clearly how his life will go, how his family will survive, what will they eat. Lots of questions are there. Asking for 100 pesos. Yes, pesos may be currency in those days. Yes, this letter was written quite a lot of years before, and the backdrop or the cue taken is from quite old times. So maybe pesos was the currency of that country or that particular part of the world, and he asks what he needs. He needs 100 pesos to continue with surviving that year, so that next season he has money to sow the seeds again and take a harvest. Till that time he needs some money, and that 100 pesos is the exact amount of money that he needs. He writes a letter to God to give him 100 pesos. Now, if we think this is quite funny, right? We pray to God, we put forward our demands in front of God. Yes, it is the will of God to answer those demands or to satisfy those demands or even to answer us. Sometimes we know our prayers are not answered. then also we do not lose faith in God. Yes, हाँ पिछले साल मैंने बोला था मुझे 80 मार्क्स देना, 80 में से आपने नहीं दिया, चलो कोई बात नहीं, 78 मिला था, 2 मार्क आपने नहीं दिए, राइट, लेकिन इस बार कोशिश करना कि मुझे 80 में से 80 मिले, राइट. So we keep on demanding, we keep on asking. Everybody prays to God, everybody asks for something, everybody demands something from God. Sometimes they are answered, sometimes they are not answered, but then you never place a demand or you never ask by writing a letter. So first thing weird is Lencho, a simpleton, he writes a letter to God, and on top of that he is asking for money. Everybody in the world asks for money. In this way, Lencho is no different from us. Yes, we also ask, he is also asking. So author is quite correct. Yes, human beings, we are quite greedy, and we don't ask, we demand, right? So that is what he is demanding through the help of the letter. Let us see what happens in the story. Now, things to remember. This story certainly poses lots of questions. Yes, it's a very beautiful story. We have characters in the story. So the first question is how to write a character sketch of the characters. Second thing, lots of logical questions can be asked because this story is full of imagination. So sometimes we have to imagine according to the story. Does Lencho's letter reach God? Will ever God receive the physical letter that is written? Yes, God does not have a residential address, an office address, yes, a business address. God does not have any of that, right? So, will the letter physically reach God? Does God send him the money? That is a very good question. Yes, God gives us in many ways, right? He doesn't come physically and hand over money to us. Yes, he gives us opportunity to earn money. Sometimes lottery lag jati hai unexpectedly. So these are the ways in which God helps us, right? So does God give him money? That's a very good question. Think what your answers about these questions would be and guess how the story continues. Let us begin with our story. The house. The only one in the entire valley. What's a valley? Valley is the flat land which is found in at the foothills of two mountains or at the base of the mountains. Mountains rise on their sides, leaving in between them a flat space to go through. Usually there will be a river going through because rain keeps on falling from the mountains. Small streams keep on coming from the mountains. Their water gathers in the center where there is a flat area, and the water makes its way through the slope, and thus a small stream or a small river will be created over there. Because continuous rain keeps on falling on the mountains, it brings down that fertile silt, and that silt gathers in the valley. So valley is usually very fertile, right? So valley is usually a flat piece of land which is found at the base of mountains. So the only one in the entire valley, this house was the only one. That means there were no neighbors. Till the eyes can see, the fields of Lencho stretched, but there was no other house, there was no other party doing agriculture over there. His was the only house, his was the only family in the valley. That means they were all alone. The family and the family members, they were all alone. Set on the crest of a low hill. Where was the house? It was set on the crest. Now what is a crest? You must have seen a wave, right? You must have seen waves when you go to seashore. You see waves coming towards you, right? So this is the beginning of the wave. This is the beginning of the wave. This is where the wave is at the climax. Yes, the height is maximum. This part on the top, that is known as crest. After that, it again levels. Right? So this is the crest. That means the house was situated on the crest. That means on the top part of a small mound or a small hill that is created over there. That means from this house he can watch his entire valley, he can watch the nearby mountains, and the most important thing, he can keep a watch on his entire field with one view, right? Because the house is situated at a height. So the house was the only one in the valley. The house was situated on the crest of a low hill. From this height, of course, one can see the river, because the house is on a height. If you stand at the door, or if you stand outside your house, outside of Lancho's house, then Lancho can see the river which is flowing through the valley. So one could see the river and the field of ripe corn. Now, whole of his field, he can look at it at one view because he is at a height. Right now the crop that is growing is that of corn, that is maize, and ripe corn dotted with flowers that have always promised a good harvest. The plants of the maize crop or the corn crop, it has grown fully. Now it is flowering time. Yes, we know fruits, they come out of flowers. So first the flowers have to come out. When the flowers come out, what happens is slowly that flower will turn into a fruit, that is a corn. Yes, so right now, standing in front of his house, he can see the complete stretch of his field, and he can see plants fully grown and flowers budding out of the plants. That makes him happy. Why does that make him happy? So many flowers on a single plant promises lots of corn on a single plant, and he has a whole field going through the valley. That means this season he is going to have a very good harvest, because all those flowers, they are going to turn into fruit, that is corn. When it is harvest time, he is going to collect all the corn, that is maize doda, which we say, right? That is, so he's going to collect all that. He is going to reap quite a good harvest this year, and he is very happy. A farmer is always happy when his hard work gives him good result. What is his hard work? He has toiled on that soil for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and after that, now the crop is ready. Yes, it is about time that the crop is going to bloom, and it's going to give him good harvest. It's a promise that the crop, the healthiness of the crop, the health of the plants tell him that he's going to have a very good harvest. So from this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn. Ripe ekdam paka hua, right? So which is quite ready. That's called ripe corn, dotted with flowers. Dotted flowers are coming out from here and there of the plant, and he is seeing the complete field. So when you see that, the flowers, they strike out, and it looks as if the flowers are dotting the complete. Now you can't see the plant at one stretch. You see just the flowers that are coming up, right? So the whole of the ripe corn, the plant, is dotted with flowers that always promised a very good harvest. The only thing earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. The backdrop of the story is in the rural area, in the mountainous area, remote areas. And we already know that Lancho was the only farmer family over there. He has quite a huge big field in front of him. There is enough water. The river is flowing nearby. He can always irrigate his land. But we are talking about quite old times, when that much irrigational methods were not developed. It becomes quite difficult to irrigate such a huge field that Lancho had. And of course, even when the river is flowing nearby, it will take him a lot of time to water his plants, the complete field. So usually farmers, they depend upon rain at a particular time. There are always off-season rains, yes, that help the plants, right? So crop. So he's expecting some rain, a little bit amount of rain, because the soil is drying up. If the rain doesn't come, then he can irrigate the land with the water that comes from the river, but then it's going to take a lot of hard work. He and his family has to work a lot to irrigate all the plants of his field. And instead of that, if they get a good shower, a little bit amount of water that the soil needs in order to turn those flowers into fruits, that is maize. So he needs a little bit help from the nature, and he is a farmer. Farmers usually know these things, yes, and they sow in that season when they'll get rain when they need, right? So all of that is arranged by the nature and the farmer, both of them. Yes, they know that right now the soil needs water, and there will be a shower around 1 or 2 days here and there, but there will be a shower, and he'll get a little bit water that he needs to irrigate his field, and he will get a good harvest. The only thing earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. There are two words over here. One is a downpour and one is a shower. Now, what is downpour and what is shower? Both are different types of rain, right? The way rain falls, it has different names. Suppose it's a drizzle. Drizzle, fine drops of rain will keep on falling for quite a long time. Yes, you can't call it rain because it takes a lot of time to even make you wet or drench you, right? And it will take a lot of time for all the surroundings to get wet, and slowly it will continue whole of the time. That's a drizzle. Downpour, within half an hour, within 1 hour, lots of water falls, right? Rain falls. That's called downpour. Shower, continuous. Not so small, not so big drops will be there, but it is enough to wet the soil or give soil a little bit water that it needs. So right now, what is the demand of the situation? Seeing the dryness of the soil, the farmer thinks that a downpour or a shower will do good. Yes, the soil has become dry because the atmosphere is dry, right? Now that atmosphere needs to cool down so that evaporation doesn't happen much, and that can happen only with a shower. Two things will happen. The soil will get its water, moisture, which the roots can take very eagerly and allow the flowers to develop into fruit, that is maize, corn. Second thing, if the soil becomes wet, it is full of moisture, so dryness is gone away from the field. The moisture keeps the plants well fed with water. Yes, and the second thing is it will make the atmosphere cool, so evaporation process will be slowed. So in this way, the only thing the earth needed at this time was a downpour or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. Now, farmer, he's a very hard-working person. Wherever you go, all around the world, you will find the most hard-working person is the farmer. First thing is, lots of physical work is needed. So physical strength is needed. Lots of care has to be taken in the field of agriculture. A small mistake will ruin the crop. So in this way, he continuously has to take rounds around his field to see that each and every plant is growing healthy. There are no insects trying to eat away the plant and thus spoiling his harvest. At the same time, he has to keep on looking for weed which is growing, grass and plants which are growing unnecessary because water is there. So grass will come out, and this grass is going to draw away the water, take that water and grow, instead of the water going to the plants, that is the crop. So he continuously needs to keep on working in his field so that there is no weed there are no insects, and he keeps on looking at the plants, the leaves, the harvest, on the flower that is coming out. He knows each and every plant in his field. Yes, so he has to be very, very careful. Now, throughout the morning, Lencho had been standing over there, walking over there on near in the front of his house. He was continuously looking at his field. Yes, he already knows that the soil has become a little bit dry, and right now dryness is very, very harmful to the crop. Moisture is very less in the soil. That means the plants are not getting enough water. If enough water is not given to the plants right now, it's the flowering time. Flower will bloom into a fruit, and this is the right time that proper water should reach the roots, so that the process is not slowed or stopped. So throughout the morning he was in quite tense condition, because the field needs water and the rain is just not coming. So Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, closely. Yes, a farmer very well knows his field, his soil, his plants, his crop, what is needed, what is not needed. That is the meaning of intimately, closely, right? It happens. Yes, because I say to your parents that yes, he is working hard. Yes, your parents says, हाँ कितना मेहनत करता है मुझे पता है, घर में रहता है. So because they know you intimately, we have you here for just 6 hours. Rest of the time, 18 hours you are with them. So they know you very intimately, very closely. That's the meaning. Who knew his fields intimately had nothing else but to see at the sky towards the northeast. That means northeast. In the north direction, in the east direction, the middle way or 45-degree is northeast, right? So he was continuously looking at the northeast direction. In this season, at this time of the year, clouds usually come from that direction. So he is very, very eagerly waiting for the clouds, and he has nothing else to do. He keeps on pacing in front of his field, looking every few seconds. He is looking at the northeast direction from where the clouds are supposed to come, and by this time they must have come, but they have not yet arrived. The clouds far away, he cannot see even a single cloud in a sky, and he continuously watches the direction of northeast to see if any clouds are approaching. Yes, he is desperate for water, he is desperate for clouds, he is desperate for rain, and that thing is just not coming. So he is a little bit worried. What happens if at the proper time rain doesn't come, right? Then it won't be enough time to irrigate his field, right? And now what happens if he irrigates now and the rain also comes? Then the soil will be more moist, which is again harmful for the crop. Right? So everything, the farmer looks after everything, right? So he knows he cannot irrigate his land right now. He has to wait out for rain. Rain might be 1 or 2 days late, it can be 1 week late, or it might perhaps not come. If it does not come, that's a total ruin, right? Because now the time has gone, he is not able to irrigate also, and if he irrigates, that's not going to work. The plant is already dying, the crop is already dying, so he has to wait out for rain. And so he is quite in tension, and he is not seated leisurely in his house on an armchair, right? He is standing out of his house, in front of his house, and is pacing up and down, and every now and then he looks to the northeast direction to see a hint of any cloud approaching. So had done nothing else but to see the sky towards the northeast. With this, we come to the end of today's lecture. Thank you, students.